Senator Boyce.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I'd like to speak tonight about Mr Luke Howarth, who is the LNP candidate for the federal seat of Petrie in the upcoming election. And as part of telling you about Mr Howarth and his qualities and the reason that he should become the member for Petrie, I'd like to compare and contrast his characteristics and talents with those of the current Labor member for the seat, Miss Yvette Darth. Luke Howarth is a 40-year-old small businessman. You're quite right, Senator Farrell, there is no comparison.
Order.
Luke Howarth is a 40-year-old...
Senator Boyce, resume your seat. Senator Farrell and members on my right, I remind you that under Standing Order 197, senators have the right to be heard in silence, and you can only interrupt on a point of order or privilege or to call attention to quorum. Senator Boyce.
Thank you. As I said, Mr Acting Deputy President, I want to rise to speak tonight about Mr Luke Howarth, who it is very much my hope will become the federal member for the seat of Petrie after the election in September. Luke Howarth is a 40-year-old small businessman. In fact, it's his experience and the experiences of so many of his colleagues in small business that has actually led Luke to nominate as our candidate for the seat in Petrie. Luke and his extended family and his friends were sick to their stomach at the incompetence of the federal Labor government, an incompetence that Luke knew was based on the complete lack of real-life experience amongst Labor MPs. Luke Howarth has a deep and abiding connection to the electorate of Petrie. He's a lifelong resident of the electorate, having been born at the Royal Brisbane Hospital, where I myself was born, Mr Acting Deputy President, and brought home by his proud parents, Ron and Denise, to their home in Bracken Ridge. Luke and his wife, Louise, were married in 1999. They have 3 sons, William, Thomas and Samuel, and the family lives at Woody Point in the electorate. Luke and Louise have grown and operated their family-owned pest control business together. Their staff has grown from an initial 3 people to now be 15 local people. Some have been with the company for more than 20 years. Luke is very proud of the family culture and respect that exists within the company's workplace. The management and staff have jointly developed the company's core values. Mr Luke Howarth is a keen sportsman. He represented our state in judo as a teenager, and he continues to teach judo at the Redcliffe PCYC. He spent many years on the management committees of local PCYCs and of Crime Stoppers Queensland. He's currently a member on a local school chaplaincy committee, and he's been involved with local chambers of commerce in the area for the past 10 years. Luke wants to continue to serve his community by becoming the federal LNP member for Petrie. He says that it's his frustration with the Rudd-Gillard government as a small business owner that has prompted him to put his hand up for the honour of representing the people of Petrie. Luke says, and I quote, "I've watched the Rudd-Gillard government stumble from one failure to another, and I've seen them take our nation from zero debt under the former coalition government to now owing hundreds of billions of dollars that my sons, everyone's children, will be paying off. I've seen my local community suffer, I've seen friends in business suffer, and I want to give the voters in Petrie a genuine alternative to the incumbent." Now, Mr Acting Deputy President, I would like to turn to that incumbent, Ms Yvette Darth. Back when Mr Kevin Rudd was Prime Minister, she was the blonde who sat behind him doing the Noddy Doll impersonation. The more Mr Rudd smirked, the more Ms Darth nodded.
Order on my right.
Order,
Senator Boyce. Point of order, Senator Farrell.
Deputy President, I don't think that's the appropriate way to describe a member. my point
Order.
of order, if you don't mind.
Senator Farrell's on his feet. He has the right to be heard.
Look, I think that's an inappropriate description of a fellow member of the House of Representatives, and I ask the member to withdraw the unpleasant suggestion in that.
Thank
in
you,
that claim.
thank you, Senator Farrell. I don't consider it to be unparliamentary, but Senator Boyce,
I withdraw,
Thank
but
you, Senator
I would
Boyce.
continue to comment that Ms Darth would nod her head regularly whilst sitting behind the Prime Minister, the then Kevin Rudd, when he was answering questions. Since Ms Darth's good friend Ms Gillard became Prime Minister, Ms Darth has prospered and has been appointed Parliamentary Secretary for Climate Change, Industry and Innovation. Now, I think having a focus on industry and innovation sounds like a great idea, especially for this government. A bit of industry and a bit of innovation might help to brighten up the economic dross that they have presented us with. So I immediately checked to see what Ms Darth's qualifications in the area of industry and innovation were. And you'll be pleased to hear, Mr Acting Deputy President, that she was the AWU's, the Australian Workers' Union's Senior Industrial Advocate.
Order, Senator Boyce. Point of order, Senator Farrell.
Look, I'm concerned that Senator Boyce didn't write this speech. Somebody else has written it on her behalf.
That's no point of order, Senator Farrell. Senator Boyce, you have the call.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I would point out that I did actually write this speech myself, and I would continue to make the point that the union domination, the lack of real-life experience, is the real reason for the incompetence of the current government. So we have Ms Darth, whose role—
Order, Senator Boyce. Point of order, Senator Billick.
Yes, Mr Deputy President, thank you. Point of order. I don't think Senator Boyce knows anything about Ms Darth. She has real-life experience.
Senator Billick, that is no point of order. Senator Boyce, you have the call.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I would assume that the number of points of order being taken by the government means that these comments are actually affecting them, and certainly the real-life experience of Ms Darth from 1994 to 2007 was as the Senior Industrial Advocate for the AWU in Queensland. Great qualification for developing industry and innovation policy. Now, as I said, Mr Acting Deputy President, you'll remember that Ms Darth and Ms Gillard are such good friends that one of the Prime Minister's first actions became notorious. One of her first acts as Prime Minister was to use the VIP jet at a cost of $9,000 to taxpayers to fly to Brisbane and back. She flew to Brisbane and back to support an AWU fundraiser for her friend Ms Darth. Now, we're told the function, which of course was attended by one of Ms Gillard's strongest supporters, Mr Bill Ludwig, the function actually raised $10,000. $10,000. But it cost taxpayers $9,000 to get Ms Gillard there, so that $10,000 could go into Ms Yvette Darth's electorate coffers. As Senator Ronaldson from our side joked at the time, it really would have been quite much cheaper if Ms Gillard had stayed home and just written a Treasury cheque out to her good friend Ms Darth. By contrast, Mr Luke Howarth's record is in itself a great reason to vote for him. He understands the needs of small business in his electorate. Petrie has particularly large light industry and commercial regions in it, and Luke knows those people and knows them well. The fact that Luke Howarth will be part of a Tony Abbott-led government that will restore hope, reward and opportunity is another great reason for the electors of Petrie to vote for him. But I do have here an additional reason that I think people should vote for Luke Howarth. It's a photo of the woman
Order,
who has
Senator
led...
Boyce, that's not orderly. You can continue, but don't
I
use
beg your
props.
pardon. What I have here is a photo of the woman who has led Australia's most incompetent government, Ms Julia Gillard, flanked by her good friends, Ms Yvette Darth and Mr Swan. If you vote for Ms Darth, you're voting to keep Ms Gillard and Mr Swan. So my plea to the electors of Petrie is that they vote for Luke Howarth, not just to save the constituents of Petrie from the incompetence of this government and the inabilities of Ms Darth, but also to save the people of Australia. And we have the most amusing aspect, I think, of this altogether, Mr Acting Deputy President, is that we have Ms Darth claiming in a speech this year that she has $742 million for a rail line, the Moreton Bay rail link, that's been talked about for over 100 years. Now, Senator McDonald, I'm sure you would have been in the electorate of Petrie recently. Seen any rail lines there? No, exactly. She's just
Order
talking.
on
It's
my
yet
right.
another election promise
Senator,
with nothing
order,
to...
Senator Boyce. Order, Senator Brown. You've continually interjected, and I've let you go up to this point. So please don't interject any further. Order on my right, Senator Boyce. You have the call.
Ms Darth's grasp of the real world is quite weird. I mean, the Moreton Bay rail link isn't going anywhere under Ms Darth. She couldn't deliver it. She won't deliver it. The National Broadband Network, she says, is rolling out in her electorate. She forgets to mention that, in fact, the NBN Co didn't negotiate with Telstra to connect the homes.
Senator Boyce, your time has expired. Senator Billick.
Thank heavens for that, Mr Deputy President.